All right. Hey, Thrift Boss Babes. It's Sammy D here. I am outside because it's summer and I'm not in New York. Therefore, I can be outside and have access to some Wi Fi from the house. This is the house where I grew up, which is kind of crazy that my mom still has this house where I grew up in my formative years here in Pennsylvania. So I'm outside. I also wanted to be outside because Lydia, who just joined us, yay, I'm going to bring her on camera super soon. Lydia is so colorful. This woman, she is just so on point with her brand, and she's going to talk a lot about that tonight. But I thought that these flowers were perfect for the Confetti Co. vintage brand because they're purple and they're bright and they're bold. And I wore this really awesome vintage Adriana Papel sort of holiday silk top to also honor the fact that we are speaking to Lydia tonight, who is just like, she is rainbow and like jelly beans, and she's just incredible. And so it's a beautiful spirit, and I just think so indicative of what the secondhand industry represents, which is kindness and generosity and this like open sense of being, because we're such a small facet of fashion and we're just really about spreading the love. And that is what Lydia is here to do tonight. I can't wait to ask her some tough questions so that she can spill, her wisdom to us that she's learned at such a young age. I think Lydia is 24. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's doing great things out in Colorado. So I can't wait for her to tell us more. Hey, Dasha, what's up? And I see we have Patty. All right, so I'm going to bring Lydia on. I have her all prepared. And I see Holly's tuning in. If you guys want to tag other Thrift Boss Babes for me, I do want to see if we can fill up this interview. Just because I really like the component, just so you guys can ask Lydia questions live. So feel free. There she is.
Hello.
We did it. You look
I'm so excited.
awesome. We're both wearing
Thank you.
glasses.
Oh my gosh, we both have like our statement goggles on. I love it. I love your shirt. Is that teacups?
So it's this holiday.
Teapots?
I don't know. Can someone more educated tell me? It's an Adriana
Fabergé
Papel.
eggs.
Yes,
That is so cute.
that's what they are.
I love it.
Yeah. Yay! Awesome.
Yay.
Okay, cool. So I hear some slight how can I say this, like echoing.
Blurring.
Yeah, but it's not that bad.
Okay, 1 second. I feel like my headphones allege that they are connected.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disconnect.
We'll just try.
Because I'm hearing you through the phone. I just realized that.
Yeah, you can turn down maybe the volume of the phone, and maybe it's still, I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Thanks, guys, for your patience. Technology!
Sorry, because it still worked earlier.
Yeah, it works fine.
I'm going to try reconnecting. Sometimes that helps.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So everyone who's just tuning in, so Lydia, you're in where? What town in Colorado? Oh, we just lost her because she's disconnecting. Yes, that's much better.
You know.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Does it sound much better?
Yeah, I don't hear any echoing now.
Okay, cool. Maybe it's like pulling the mic through my headphones. This worked earlier, but I don't know why it's not working now.
That's what I tell people, just to use these, because the Bluetooth, and there's just problems, but it's okay. Like, I love the wireless life. Yeah, you're fine.
Do not disturb. 1 second.
Yeah,
because
perfect.
I didn't really think about that, but
yeah, if you get a phone call, just like cancel it.
That's what happened. It was like you're just why, and then oh, your mom is calling you. Okay, I'm ready
always
now.
Mom. It's always Mom. Oh my God. Okay, guys.
Good timing.
Thank you for joining. Okay, yeah, perfect timing. So if you guys have questions, just ask. Don't worry about like a particular time. I'll scroll and find them. Lydia, how did you get started in the secondhand world? I want to know. I know nothing. I came into this interview knowing nothing. So
let's start from the beginning. A very good place to start. I'm going to say probably about 15 or 16, they built a brand new Salvation Army right by
Oh.
my house. And I was like, what is this new store? And I had never really gone secondhand shopping previous to that.
Hmm.
And so I remember one of my very first purchases was this awesome red and white vertical striped 80s blazer that I call my
Wow.
popcorn jacket, which I love to wear to the drive-in movies. And I bought one of those like I don't even think they do it now. I think they just throw all the makeup away. But I bought this bag of makeup that was like Chanel makeup, Bobbi Brown makeup, Maxim's, and it was all like slightly used, which is not smart as like a 16-year-old. But it had this comb in it that said Lisa. And that was like, I don't know why. It was just like so precious to me because my name is Lydia. It was like close, but
Right.
no cigar. I was like, this is my Lisa comb. I used to like wear it in my hair at the bottom of a braid. I would just stick it in there like Afro style.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my first experience. And then I can't hear you now.
Oh, you can't?
Oh, now I can.
Oh, yeah. I'm
I don't know
being
why
quiet for once.
Oh,
I'm usually like, ah, no.
same. So then I always knew that I loved fashion and I was really into dressing like uniquely. And when it came time to decide what to do for college, I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I don't want to have to design for fashion trends, but I definitely want to be involved in designing clothes. So then I decided to go to school to be a costume designer because I always had a real love for historical fashion. So that's what I did before this. And then like this is like basically the whole story. It's an answer to one of the questions that I wrote down. I
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
prepared paper where I
Yeah.
wrote down my answers. Um, so I went to school for costume design. I graduated, and in the middle of that, I was working in Boulder, Colorado.
Hmm.
And this is kind of where the bin story comes in. And I saw this amazing dress, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should buy this because like, what if I need it someday for a play? Like
Right.
it's not my size. It's a plus size 50s dress, but like what if I need it? And then
Yeah.
that's like my border side. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. And then it kind of like kept compounding and I was like, these are all so good and none of them fit me and I should just sell them. Like, why can't I just sell them? And then eventually, so then I kind of started Confetti Co Vintage like very part-time. And then I moved to Chicago and I got a
Okay.
job. Well, I already had a job at Kate Spade before, but I transferred to Kate Spade on Michigan Avenue, which is like the big deal shopping spot in Chicago. And I realized that I love selling so much. Like,
Yeah.
it is definitely a passion of mine. I just love talking to people and helping them find things that they need. So then I was like, let's mash it all together.
Oh.
Let's do vintage slash, old clothes. Let's do selling. Let's put it together. And then I I was like a technically seasonal hire, but it was like with the intention of hiring on. And then they were like, all right, we're ready to like think we're gonna hire you. We're gonna hire you. And then I was like, I feel like this is a good time for me to like not do that and instead do vintage. So then I moved on to vintage.
Wow. So you have a retail background with
A
basically a
dad.
high level designer,
Yeah,
Kate
yeah.
Spade. Yeah.
Yes, I definitely
That's
have a they call it when I worked there, they called it affordable luxury. So I definitely
affordable.
have some retail education.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. And that, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because as we were speaking earlier today, you're like, I just love selling in person. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
True
that is,
that.
that is so awesome. Okay. So as a costume designer, are you like, can you sew? Is that something that you obviously like you
Yeah.
fix things
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say like I love to sew. The thing
Yeah.
about that, it's got a little like weird spot in my heart because it was definitely an amazing part of my education. It was so fun. My times in the costume shop, just sewing and altering and helping, were some of like the most fun times
Okay.
of those 4 years. I loved my costume shop manager, Adam Dill. He made my wedding dress. He custom made my wedding dress. I'm
Oh,
so lucky. Thank you, Jesus. Um,
yeah.
and so that was a great part of that. But then I realized as I was kind of like pursuing costume design and costume construction that the sewing aspect of it was really just not for me due to the
Got
fact
it.
that like you kind of usually have to work in rooms that have no windows and like everyone's quiet all day and like just very
Yeah.
focused. And I was really lucky when I was in school because I was able to basically do all of the positions in a costume shop from bottom to top. And by the time I graduated, I was in like the top position, like being a draper, which would be creating the pattern for the custom made garments. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't just like walk in. I had a job at Chicago Shakespeare Theater, and I can't just like walk in there, you know, fresh out of college and be like, I would like to be a draper. They're like, oh, girl, sorry, no. And I was like, it's gonna take me a long time to get there, and I
Got
already
it.
have this other gig that I like.
Yeah, basically vintage show. I mean, like you said, it showed up because you were like, let me just buy this dress
Yeah.
that I might need for a show. And
Hmm.
then you started collecting. Like what I'm hearing you say is you started collecting so much that you were like, I need to get rid of these some way.
Well, a little bit. It was like I was really
Mm-hmm.
lucky at the time because I lived in a, this is bothering me. I can see it. I lived in an apartment with a walk-in closet,
Okay.
which is like unheard of in Chicago. But when I was in Michigan, it was like people, I guess, love to build apartments with walk-in closets, probably because they sell the unit. People are like, great, there's a large closet. So my husband had
Yeah.
like the walk-in closet too was like one of the U-shaped ones. And so my husband probably had like this much of it, and the
Uh
rest was
huh.
like all my vintage and then my clothes.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
So it was there was a
That's
lot.
awesome.
And it was
That is
kind of like when
awesome.
we moved to Chicago. He was like, you got to get rid of some of it.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like basically everything happens for a reason, and then you sort of just you
Mhm.
just keep moving forward with those reasons. But let's talk about. So basically, you had all this vintage you were collecting. You were with Kate Spade.
Mhm.
You basically had a crossroads. You could have gone corporate fashion, which would have given you many, many opportunities. And then you had this passion that you loved. Now, what were the obstacles that really showed up for you after leaving Kate Spade to make a profitable
Mhm.
part-time to full-time business? And can you walk us through, and I know like I have a bunch of questions around it, if you just want to like get right into the meat of it,
Just
take us
launch into it.
take us
So,
through.
hmm when I
Mm-hmm.
started, I had like absolutely no idea of like marketing or branding or how to run a business Instagram or like understanding profit margins or basically no business education at all. And
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely a large obstacle for me because I was trying. I feel like my best friend came in as my savior here. She has a passion for graphic design and she was like, let me just help you, girl. Let me just teach you a little bit. So she did my logo and was like, hey, when you do an Instagram post, think about doing it like this, like incorporating the colors from your logo and that kind of thing. And then
Okay.
just as time has went on, like this is my first year where I'm like really trying to be official. Like
Mm-hmm.
tax official and like having a permit in the city of Chicago and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like the main obstacles for me were like absolutely having no business knowledge and
Yeah.
also just kind of like acclimating from having someone always being your boss and telling you what to do and being like, if we're gonna sell stuff today, this is the checklist of things you need to do. And you know, like kind of providing the framework. The same and I really learned to work within a framework in college because like man, before college I was like always late, always
Mm-hmm.
turning stuff in like slightly as close to the deadline as I could get it, maybe a dash afterwards. Like I'm very much a creatively spirited person in that
Yeah.
way. So, I learned that in college and I was like, I've mastered it. And then I started working at Kate Spade and I was like, I've mastered it. And then I started working for myself and I was like,
No.
we have not mastered it like we thought we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was also a hurdle for me is like learning to self-regulate my day and how I plan it out and that kind of stuff.
And I know I actually asked you a question that's like, what's the day of a life of a full-time reseller?
Mhm.
But now so we'll get to that basically. Foreshadowing that question, guys. And Dasha has all of these great questions, which I can't wait for you to answer. But I
I
want you
can't
to.
see that vibe ready. They're not showing on mine. I don't get the preview.
Oh,
I'm
no
just
worries.
getting the hard hitting question.
You're just kidding.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you, okay?
Okay, cool.
What was I going to say? So the reason I was inspired to bring you on is we had like the briefest conversation on Instagram DM, which is where all the action happens in my life these days. Um,
Mhm.
No one texts me anymore. We just DM. And it was because I was going to the bins and reselling to Buffalo, and was like, yeah, guys, it's a $7 profit, but it's a $7 profit without having to list, without, just all the things. And I know that's kind of what you did to get your business started. So can you walk us through that and why you chose to do it that way, and why it worked for you, and how people can do it for themselves?
Totally. I feel like it's a really interesting business model because, like you said, the profits are not huge on each item, but it definitely can add up. So when I was living in Boulder, there was an like, let me just restart. I'm
Yeah.
also like I don't want to say like addicted to thrifting, but I enjoy thrifting. I love thrifting,
We all love thrifting.
like all good thrift babes do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is this Goodwill bins on my way from Boulder to the Denver airport, and my husband was able to fly in a couple times that summer to
Yeah.
visit me. So every time, and some other times, every time I would drop him off at the airport, I would stop at the bins. And as I was there, I realized like, oh my gosh, this stuff is like really trendy, like some of it, especially in Boulder. I feel like there are a lot of people with a lot of money, and there's not that many people shopping in thrift stores, so they're just donating their stuff, and then not that much stuff gets bought from the thrift store, and then it gets sent to the bins. Which the bins are, in case you don't know, the bins are like the Goodwill outlet. So it's like after something doesn't sell for a certain amount of time in the Goodwill, which I couldn't tell you what that is, but
It's actually, listen to this.
yeah,
It's 3 weeks in New York.
that's crazy.
It's so short. It's
It's like,
so short.
so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that the stuff gets sent to the Goodwill bins where it's sold by the pound or sometimes by like a really low piece number, like the Goodwill bins in Gary, Indiana, which I've stopped at because it's in between my house in Chicago and my old house in Flint.
Gary, Indiana. Michael
It
Jackson's hometown. Okay.
is that
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they have like some price pieces where it's like all
Yeah.
shoes $1.99, all media 10, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But normally they're just by the pound, so it's like whatever you put in your cart is what you pay for. And so I realized like some of the stuff is really good stuff, and I don't want it. Number one, I don't want it to like go into these big pallets. That's what they do with the stuff if it doesn't sell. It doesn't sell in like 10 hours. They put it into a big pallet, they press it all together, they wrap it with plastic, and then they send it to people who either like rip it up and use it for stuffing and stuff, or like just use the fibers in different ways. I'm sure you've seen those rugs from Five Below where like it's like strips of fabric that are all woven together. So it's kind of like that. And then or they like send it to people who buy clothing by the pallet and then just like sell that in their own way. So
Yep.
anyways, out there I was like, this stuff is so cute, it's so trendy. I'm just gonna try taking it to Buffalo Exchange, and I was like, my goal is just that I will make what I spent plus that much more. So basically that I would make 100% profit. I think
Right.
that's
Yeah.
so yeah. I wanted to profit the amount that I spent, which
Yeah.
is like so basically if I spent $40 on clothes, I would want to make $80 at Buffalo Exchange, which is kind of hard. Buffalo Exchange, at least here, they're like, oh, that'll be $7 for this, $14 for that. But I was able to do it there. And actually, if you go into like any Buffalo Exchange or Crossroads or Plato's Closet, like anything like that, they will sometimes even give you a card. But if they don't give you the card, they will tell you exactly what they're looking for. And they're really specific, but if you can fit within those confines, you can make money for sure. And that's how I built my business capital was I was like, okay, I'm not going to spend that. I think I invested like $30 to start out with, which is like a very honest amount to start your business on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do the $30. I'm just going to take all of the credit from Buffalo Exchange and use that to buy cooler vintage things at Buffalo Exchange to resell.
So let me just interject for a second. Okay. So Buffalo Exchange is an American company, for those of you who are from Canada. There's 50 stores nationwide, and what they do is they'll say, okay, we're going to sell this in the store for $21. We'll give you $7 cash, or we'll give you, what is that, $10.50 credit. So Lydia would take the credit because that's 50%, and she would buy pieces from Buffalo Exchange for free, essentially, and then flip those. So basically, Lydia, I mean, it's crazy what Lydia was doing. She was like, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to make money off of this. And then I'm going to use that money to buy more things, to sell these better things that are going to make me more money. So she was almost like taking steps to make her money, which
Double
is,
dipping.
it's crazy. I mean, but it's so smart. And okay,
Thank you.
so just to back up, because I'm seeing Dasha ask some really, really good questions. So like to so Buffalo Exchange is different in every city. Plato's is different in every city. Crossroads is different in every city. So what Lydia was saying was correct. You need to get to know the store. You need to take some risks. The Buffalo Exchange I go to in New York, they will buy my vintage in a second, which is awesome because it could be hard to sell some vintage pieces because they're just so quirky or tiny. Lydia, what were you looking for that worked for your store, for your particular Buffalo?
What really worked for my Buffalo Exchange was anything vintage. So sometimes I have like, this kind of goes into another question
Yeah.
that I like wrote down. I have like a certain specific taste in vintage. It's always colorful. It's always a bright pattern. So even if it wasn't that, I would pick it up at the bins and bring it in because they do love vintage. Buffalo Exchange tends to be like very quirky. They're all about like interesting patterns. I've even seen them sell like costumes. So they're like
Yeah.
really quirky and really trendy. So the things that worked for me well at my store was like anything that was, what is that? I don't know what the word is for it. I think hype beast is kind of like the word. Like
Mm-hmm.
anything like Adidas jackets with like a big Adidas logo across
Yeah.
them. I would always pick those up. Anything vintage. Any like interesting t-shirts that had like a weird saying on it, I would always get. I don't know, to tell you honestly, I probably did it 10 times over the course of the summer. So
Yeah.
that was like that was my method to build up a cool vintage closet.
And
But
it's
outside
hard.
of that, I haven't really done it that much because my Buffalo Exchange here is like really quite picky and they only, I mean, I brought in like 3 IKEA bags of clothes before and they'd maybe taken, I'm going to estimate 10 items. So they're quite picky, which is awesome because the store is really good. And that's totally fine with me. I
Mm-hmm.
normally only put stuff in there that I think that I can't sell. And
Yeah.
then if it doesn't go there, then I just redonate it back into the cycle. Or I give it to my sisters. They love all my stuff, so I give it to
That's
my
awesome.
sisters too.
And this is Chicago that you're
Hmm.
referencing because you're in Chicago now. Awesome.
Plus,
Yeah.
our it also does it has to do with location. Our Buffalo Exchange is in Wicker Park, which is like this very quirky hipster neighborhood full of like I don't know how to say it. Just like very hipster people that are drinking like their turmeric lattes and
Mm-hmm.
like have like half of their head shaved and one side green and like always wear Doc Martens.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a good if you could like take that image in your mind. It's like
Mm-hmm.
hipster people that have money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of them out there in the world. Let me tell you.
Hmm.
So okay, Dasha asked a really good question. So we're gonna kind of like fast forward.
Yeah.
But you've grown your business obviously. And so back in the Buffalo buying days, it may have changed a little bit. But like, what is the maximum amount that you'll spend on an item to resell? Do you have a ceiling, like no more than 20 or
Yeah,
no
that's
more
kind of
than
it.
12?
That's
Like, is
kind of it. I would say my my price threshold is normally like will only spend I will only spend like let's say it's $20 on something if I think I can sell it for 60. Or I only spend $50 on
got it?
something if I think I can sell it for 150. Like that three times profit matrix as things have moved along. When I started selling, I really did not have that concept in my head,
Yeah,
but I've learned it's important. Like, it's crazy how much money you have to make to have like a sustainable business. That's not just like a side hobby where
yeah.
you're like taking money from it. You really have to make quite a bit of money because self-employment tax is huge. If you're not an LLC, if you're just a sole proprietor, it's like up to 35% of your income.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to pay federal tax on top of that. And then you also have to pay sales tax. So if you're not charging sales tax when you're selling stuff, which I just recently started, so if you're not charging sales tax when you're selling stuff, then you are liable for all of that. So I
Mm-hmm.
realized that the price times three is really what I need to sell things for. So honestly, I don't even have a max. Like if I thought I could sell something for $1,200 and it was $400, I would invest in that. I don't really have like a max or a minimum. If it's something the thing is it's always nice when it's low. Like
Yeah,
if I paid $1 for it at Goodwill and I think I could sell it for 35, that's awesome. But
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what it comes down to is like everyone has a strategy. I mean, Dasha just said she's like, I'm scared to spend over $10. And that strategy comes with time. It comes with experience, and it comes with relationships where you begin to know who are my clientele. So like what's their like how can I
Mm-hmm.
rely on them to pull out a certain amount of money that they feel comfortable with? But like, for example, I had like a collector's jacket, all sequin for the Miami Dolphins, and this designer, she did these sequin jackets for like all of these American sports teams back in 1984. And so the seller bought it from me for $325, I think, and I bought it off eBay for $75 a few years before, and she has it listed or had it listed for $1,200 because she specialized in those
See, it's like,
pieces.
yeah,
But
I
she
think it
knew.
really like what you're
Yeah.
saying. It has to do with knowing your clientele and especially being an expert in your niche. So, like my niche, we're colorful, we love patterns, we like being quirky. So, therefore, if I see something that is like a dark blue vintage dress and it's got maybe like one white stripe down the center, I'm like, okay, I can pay, you know, $7 for that, $10 for that. I think I can flip it for three times that. Um, but like if it's like this dress, which was actually gifted to me, like literally my old manager from Kate Spade was like, I saw this and it reminded me of you, and she sent it to me. It's one of my favorites. Um, so shout out to Elizabeth. But like this dress, I would probably pay up to $20 for this dress because I definitely know that I could sell this for 60 or more because it's so unique to have like such a the embroidery that goes down it. It almost reminds me of like a Lily Pulitzer.
It
So it's
does,
got
yeah.
embroidery and buttons that go all the way down the front. It's just like a special piece. So I would probably pay up to $20
This is
for it.
awesome. This is awesome. Um, so, and I see some questions about sales tax. Guys, you only worry about that if you're going to declare, but we're not going to talk about that in this Facebook Live because neither of us are accountants. So legally, we shouldn't be talking about it. But just to rest everyone's mind, if you're going to declare it on your taxes, then you need to worry about it. But it's a state by state basis, so that's the other complicated thing because not every state. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, so back to you and acquiring inventory because I think this is such a good thing to talk about. What I've seen from you is that you'll also buy from other resellers. So, like, what is your strategy, and when do you decide that you need to buy more? Like, is
Um,
it
I honestly, that's like one of my things that I wrote down on the piece of paper that was, what are some mistakes you've made and how to learn from them? I was
yeah?
like,
Okay, tell
don't
us.
don't buy too much inventory.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. It's so easy. As a person who loves clothes, so easy to be like, oh, I'll just sell it. I'll just fix it. I'll just like dye it purple and then it'll be cool. Like there, it's so easy to get caught up in like buy, and then not sell quick enough, be able to liquidate fast enough. So I would say, how do I know? Um, Honestly, I live in a really tiny apartment, which is currently overflowing, so I know that I need to cut back on buying, and I have about 6 racks at the markets that I do. So I kind of gauge it based on how full those racks are. So if I'm like, wow, I really feel like I'm just like running low. I feel like my racks look empty. I'm like, oh, it's time. Or when the
Right.
seasons change. Like I've been buying for winter right now. A lot of coats, a lot of
Mm,
long sleeve dresses, or like dresses that aren't like, like a summer light kind of thing.
mm-hmm. 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 Totally
Yes,
feel that.
changing in the seasons
And
and when you're running low. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, no. And I was gonna say like, um, when it comes to acquiring your inventory, obviously you want to get it at the least, for the least amount of money. Like, even though you're like, okay, I can buy this for 20 and still, if I feel like I can still sell it for $60. So have you picked up any strategies to get things for the least amount of money so that you can still sell it to make a profit for yourself? Because Dasha asked a really good question about like, you know, a lot of apps have really basically saturated the market with vintage. So people are going to the apps to buy vintage versus stores versus in person. And sometimes the apps have lower price points. So I still think, maybe for a vintage seller, like we're still in this mindset, or you're still in this mindset of like, let's get it for as low as possible because I'm still not quite sure what the consumer is going to pay for it. So is that something that you think about? And like when it comes to buying
Honestly,
your inventory?
I know this is like crazy, but I I
No,
feel
be
like
honest. Be
no,
honest.
I'll tell you what, I'm trawling those apps looking for cool vintage for cheap, and I'm reselling because I know that presentation matters so much. So like you can take something like grainy or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, $15 for this. And you're like, ooh, I don't even know. It might not be good when it
Yeah.
comes to me. But sometimes you take the risk like, oh girl, yes, this is like $150 dress, and you put it in front of a beautiful
Yeah.
background and take a great picture, and you can totally sell more. And I also think, yeah, just like a lot of price has to do with branding and presentation. If you have a strong brand that people can connect to, they're definitely willing to pay more. I mean, why do people even buy vintage if they can just go to the thrift store and buy it for $2 or $8 or $15 even? I mean, people would just shop on eBay if they didn't care about presentation or branding or who's behind it. Oh, here comes your
Hmm.
dad.
Oh, it's my. I'm out here on my interview. You're being
Hi.
filmed right now. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still in the interview. Yeah. Bye, Joe. That's my mom's partner. All right,
Oh,
it's
hi.
fine. This is a very small, casual group.
That's okay.
Yeah, he's not my dad. My parents are divorced. But he's great.
Fine.
No, I love this because um, selling is a mindset, and this is something that somehow, somewhere, I'm going to create more materials about in Thrift Boss Babes. But what you're saying, Lydia, is basically you're like, I know that I can sell it because of me, because
Yeah.
of what I'm doing with this product and making the connection. So let's talk about your brands, because you're literally right now, like me, my brand is this. It's not really this, but
I
it's
like
it's
the
a
flowers when
window.
you were like, we've got the
The
flowers to match the
flowers.
confetti co vintage.
I was
I love that
trying.
part.
I was trying. So you have a very, very strong brand. Walk us through why you feel walk us through who your brand is again. I know you kind of briefly did, and why that's important for someone at your level, or someone who wants to be at your level, to be able to sell things for the amount that you're selling them for.
I just think it creates a more curated experience for the shopper. So
Mm-hmm.
like it's interesting. If you have questions about branding, I would recommend everyone do this first exercise called your ideal client avatar, which is all about finding
Mm-hmm.
out, like, getting in the mind of like who you want to come to you. So my ideal client avatar, she is like, I know it freaks people out when I say this too, so I probably
No,
should.
be
This is good
honest.
for Thrift Boss Babes, but I'm gonna cut this for Instagram.
Okay.
She's like 27 probably. She is a little bit more muted than me in how she dresses, but she can definitely appreciate like a print or a pattern. And my pieces are usually like the little fun joy confetti that she drops into her outfits in her life. And she's not afraid to spend $60 on a dress that she can try on in person and she knows that she loves. And also, I'm always like, if you need help styling it, tell me. I got you. And I think that that really does kind of wrap into my brand, which is why I started my other Instagram, which used to be my personal Instagram, but now is like my style diary, where I just started kind of cataloging my outfits, because my ideal client avatar is someone who is willing and wants to hear style advice from me, because I
Mm-hmm.
love giving it. So I want to be like, pair it with white jeans and a like little red blazer and you'll be so cute. Like that's my favorite part. I love that connection with people. So um I just feel like I'm a little bit lost on where I was going with this question, but
No, it's okay.
branding is so oh, my brand.
Yes.
Um yeah, all those things. I basically, your brand will, and your ideal client is gonna just, your brand is gonna wrap around your ideal client, what she
Mm-hmm.
wants from you, what she would love. So, like, for instance, my racks at shows. I know this is like such a little detail, but this I think is just a good
Oh.
example of like branding. I take a lot of my inspiration from Kate Spade and branding, and I was doing some exercises and looking through all their stores, and like everything in Kate Spade is either like a shiny true finish gold metallic, or it's a deep wood, or it's a lacquered white.
Mm.
In the store, if it's not colorful, it's like one of those things. Those are their neutral things. So I was like, I want white racks. Like it's really important to me to have white racks and to not have those folding like garment racks that every seller has. They all look the same. So it's like, I was like, I have to have them. I have to have them. That's like important. It enhances my experience and it makes
Yeah.
my shop look different because the white with the clothes I think interplays a lot better than the chrome with the clothes and it looks different. And like then I have like my gold sequin tablecloth that I put out over my table and I try to keep everything like within that brand palette. So
Yeah.
this is like yarn is like a new departure for me. Yarn is not like a texture that I normally would be drawn to for my brand, but man, the colors on this, I just feel like it's such a beautiful vignette that I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll take it. I ended up trading her. I traded, she handmade this and I traded her a couple vintage pieces and a little bit of money for it. And I'm so happy.
So, and yeah, so this yarn is what you use for your videos. So even your social media content is on brand
Oh,
in
yeah.
regards to your colorway. And again, this whole notion of like, this is a pop of confetti. Like, you know, it might be, you know, she might have a lot of black in her
Uh-huh.
wardrobe, but she's got like a pop of confetti with some vintage. And like, I
Totally.
love that. I love that thought process. So like, guys, the ideal client avatar, you can Google it. It's very easy. I'll post it after this interview. I made one for my clients years ago, even down to what she would eat. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, my ideal client was like Thai food. I was like, she's gonna get Thai food for takeout. But with Thrift Babes, when I was thinking about her, I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna have women who are happily married for 50 years, and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have girls that are like 20 years old. But it's the feeling of being sexy is a thrift babe. It's the
Yeah.
feeling of being empowered and sort of like you can say that, but whatever, I'm gonna be me. So I do it a
Uh-huh.
lot with like my dating life. Like if you guys follow me on social media, I'll be like, okay, men, like whatever. Or I'll be like, I'm here drinking my prosecco and like, but I'm obviously like a very smart woman, but like I kind of play into this sort of like, I'm just like sexy, like
Uh-huh.
sort of
Uh-huh.
like just like a loose person, but like empowered because I'm like owning myself. So it's a feeling. So Lydia, what you've done is you've created this feeling of like excitement and color and, um, yeah,
I'm really lucky because that like feeds into my personality that I feel like that is who I am as a person. So partially,
it is.
I think that that is why my brand is so successful in coming across and why it feels authentic is because I am like an easily
Cute.
excited person. I love any chance. I mean, I love confetti.
Yeah.
The way I came up with the name was like I was like, I'm gonna start a blog and I need to like do names for like a really long time. So I was like, Sparkle Girl, Glitter Girl, whatever. I like me and my friends
Yeah.
did like an hour, and eventually I was like, I'm gonna be Confetti Coat, like petticoat, because I love like
Ah.
that kind of like soft, fuzzy, exciting, fluffy feelings with the petticoat. And then eventually I was like, I just need Confetti Co, like Confetti Company, because I just really confetti resonates with me. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. And so how long did it take you to really figure out your brand? Was it instantaneous or?
No, no. I mean, or at least I should say, not in like learning how to represent myself in photo or represent my brand in photos and represent it all together. I would
Mhm.
say no. It's something that you get better at with time.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I didn't used to think I was good at it, but then people will tell me I'm good at it, and then I was like, oh, maybe I am good at it. And then I realized like, wow, these people are seeing something that I'm not seeing in myself yet, but it's like it feels so good when someone else says it to you, something that you didn't even realize about yourself. So then once people started saying it, I was like, oh my gosh, now I guess I can see it. I can point out all these things that are building together to make
Mhm.
this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's better to have like a witness point of view, which is why our Instagram feedback session was so awesome.
Yes, yes. I'm still working on it. So those people who haven't got their feedback from me yet, I'm working on it. But my phone has all these videos of
You're
me saved on it. So I have to go through and delete all those so I can make more videos for
I know,
people.
I loved that so much. That was so sweet and so generous. I loved it. Like that's
Thank
a
you.
great idea for people to do for each other. So we should definitely do something like
Mhm.
that in the future. Okay, so okay, you sell in a lot of ways. Tell us more about your outlets and how do you prioritize where to sell so that your
Mhm.
time is worth it. And I'm sorry,
Yes,
guys,
yes.
I'm so dark, but like the sun is disappearing. So
It is what it is.
I'm just gonna be Moonlight Lady tonight. Okay.
Yeah, you're giving us that like moody, sexy, empowered vibe.
Yes, that's
On
it.
brand. Yes. Yes, the hair flip. I love it.
I'm gonna like unbutton my shirt. Okay, all right.
Stop. So, I, for a long time, this is actually an obstacle that I overcame for sure. For a long time, I was only online. I was on Etsy and Instagram, but mostly on Etsy, I was selling. And in August of last year, I just realized that, like, wow, I feel like really burnt out on this. I feel like I'm in my house alone every single day, not talking to people, and I'm very much an extrovert. So then I was like praying and I was like asking God, what should I do next? Like I need something, some change, some movement. And then I really feel like it was placed in my heart, like try out an in-person market. And then I remember there's this market that okay, so before I moved to Chicago, my husband brought me here for my birthday. It was when he proposed to me, and we went to this awesome vintage market called Randolph Street Market.
Yeah.
And that was on my birthday, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And then I went again, like when I lived here, and it never occurred to me, like, you could sell there. I was like, I'm not professional enough. I'm not ready. I'm not at the level of those people. But then I applied and they accepted me, and that was awesome. And ever since I did that, I realized that that like truly is my zone of genius to be selling and talking in person with people because that connection, like when someone puts on something that I picked out, right? I was like, this will look so good on someone. And then I put it in my shop, and then they pick it out and they're like, this is so cool. They put it on, they're like,
Yeah.
I feel amazing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you look amazing.
Yeah.
That's like the greatest joy for me. I like totally light up. I'm so happy when someone else loves what I picked out and they're like, I'm gonna buy this and take it home and rock it. Oh yes. Makes me so
Say
happy.
yes to the dress. I love that.
They say yes to the dress. So I just started prioritizing in-person markets because that's what I love to do. And I definitely am way more profitable in way shorter amount of time than putting things on Etsy. But I think it all has to do with salesmanship to be successful at markets and stuff. Like if you're an extrovert who loves to talk and you're like, especially if you have retail training. So if you're thinking about doing in-person markets, get a job somewhere where they'll teach you how to sell first,
Yeah.
and see if that's for you. So I always prioritize that first because I love that. And then next for me would be Instagram because that's like my second love. I love the connection that I have with people on Instagram in the DMs, in the comments. I just think that's so fun. Then next would be Etsy. And honestly, I'm really trying to like come up with some creative new ways to sell stuff outside of Etsy, but without having to take photographs and list everything. Just
Yeah.
because I love the connection with in person. So that's why I just did a live sale that I was like trying out a new format of selling. And I also think I'm going to be looking at like antique booths or markets or that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Where
Yeah,
you don't
sorry,
have
go
to
ahead.
be there. You don't have to be there.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but I just like that you don't have to put very much work in. You just like, do your booth, make it look cute, put your stuff in there, and then it sells while you're not there. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's, I mean, would you say it's about having a couple irons in the fire, all said and done?
I'm sorry, what?
Would you say it's about having a couple irons in the
Oh, darn it,
fire?
it just skipped.
Oh, it's probably both of our Wi-Fi getting delayed. Here, I'll wait.
It probably is because it's just about that time that people get on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm also
Who wants to
outside,
have
so
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
repeat it
cool.
one more time. You're coming through.
No, okay, we got it. Would you say it's about having a couple irons in the fire to maximize your
Oh,
sales per
yeah.
day?
I think it's like really important to be present in at least two places. So that way, I
Mm-hmm.
think like you need to, for me at least. Other people, maybe yeah, I think at least two places for me, I need to have like an in-person presence that is consistent. So Randolph Street Market happens every month, which is a huge draw for me because it's like people can expect to see me there. They can know I'll have new stuff for them. Um, there are a lot of like repeat clients to that. And then I have the Instagram component where if someone's like, oh my gosh, I saw that top and you know what, I realized I need it now, me there. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, stuff that my I have more engaged connections on Instagram after doing Randolph Street Market
Yeah.
and meeting people in person. They are now engaging on Instagram.
Yep.
So stuff that I put on Instagram sells really well
Yep.
too.
Yep. Yep. It's
But
that
like
in
at least two places.
person.
So like let's say you're selling in Thrift Boss Babes, sell on Poshmark or like sell on Instagram and on Thrift Boss Babes. That's really nice when when you're selling all digital. It's almost a little bit easier because you can take those photos and then you just can like cross post them on every platform. You can
Right.
truly do Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, um, Thrift Boss Babes.
Yep. Love that. Love that. And
Hmm.
you're right. It's about like that in-person connection and then converting it to Instagram so that even if they don't become a customer in person, they might become a customer later on Instagram. So when you're selling, it's like you're selling but you're not selling, you're just forming relationships, which like you said, that's part of sales training. So Dasha is asking, how long do you keep something in inventory before you mark it on sale? And do you have sales? I guess that's a better
I have to be
question.
honest with you. This is, I was just thinking about this question. I never buy anything that I think
Yeah.
won't sell. And I also feel like
Nice.
everything has its like beautiful, perfect owner coming to it. So I rarely, 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 almost never mark something on sale because I just feel like I know eventually it will sell.
Love that.
It's a lot
Yeah.
easier when you're like Forever 21 or whatever, and they have seasonal collections, and they're like, we got to get the winter stuff out or whatever. But I did really do at this past Randall Street Market. I did a buy one get one 20% off sale only for the market, so like only just that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just because I bought that huge box of clothes that I did my live sale on, and like all of a sudden I'm overflowing with
Yes.
clothes. So it
Yeah.
definitely worked a couple times. I probably had about four people add something onto the sale, so I sold four more items. Um, just because of the 20% off. But it also, I think, got people's brains thinking a little bit more about like, what would I want? I feel like there was like way more than four people, probably 15 to 20 to 30 people that like looked through to see if there was anything else that they wanted. So I feel like that like buy one get one really works for helping to sell through your inventory a little bit easier. But I started taking B school with Marie Forleo,
Mm-hmm.
and she said to never discount. She was like, if you're gonna be not cheap. So like I would say my vintage is not cheap. It's definitely like mid to average range vintage for Chicago. Now like other places I couldn't speak to that, but I would definitely say it's like average, maybe a little bit less than other more seasoned dealers. Um, but Marie Forleo was like, don't diminish your worth by, cutting your prices over and over and over. Instead, well, if you buy one for full price, then you can get another one for 80% of the price without it being like, oh, I'm just going to make everything 20% off. Because then I feel like you wouldn't have that incentive to buy another item. And you don't want people to be like, oh, I'll just wait till it goes on sale.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't. Yeah, it is such a this is like a whole course, like you said. I mean,
Yeah.
you're taking it in Marie for Leo's B school, which is a really, really great program. But that whole mindset, it does come down to, I think, who am I appealing to? So again, you're appealing to the type of woman that might be like, I am so happy to buy a $180 J. Crew blazer, right? Of course, none
Right.
of us
I
here
think,
would ever
yes,
do that,
yes.
but that's your
My
girl.
my girl does like definitely cross with the J. Crew, the Kate Spade, the Madewell
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah, that is kind of how I base my prices too. It's like no one would hesitate to walk into Madewell and buy a $60 dress.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
or
And
to buy,
like,
I mean, even the $120 special occasion dress. No one would be like, this is like, I'm not saying no one, but those girls wouldn't be like, oh no, I could never spend that much. Now, me, I am not my ideal client, girl, because I'm like thrifty. So I think that's also another important ideal client part is
mm-hmm.
like, it's not always you. And we have to let that go sometimes. But like, I'm thrifty. I'm not a spend $180 on a blazer at Madewell person, but I understand that person.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, you don't have to be exactly the person. But you need to be like with them, like a piece of who they are.
Yeah,
And like,
totally.
so like the advice is like for you guys just to know like who is your girl, like like, and also how is that girl, I mean I'm saying girl, but like who is your client and like how are you attracting that client. So like basically Lydia, if she went to small town Kansas, she's not going to have Madewell girls there. So she's been able to acquire this, clientele because of where she is. Dasha is in New York City, which does have Madewell girls, but are they coming to the markets that she's going to? And is that kind of like where most of her business is happening? Like that's what you have to decide. When I sold at Brooklyn Flea, like the quirkier and the crazier, it would just sell, and I could sell things for a little bit more, but like it was
I think
hipster, hipster,
location has a
hipster,
lot to do with it.
hipster, hipster, hipster. Like it was 2008. It was before hipster. It was when hipster was like really burgeoning. So it was like just so crazy. And like, so I was like, I need the craziest stuff possible. But like, if I were to specialize or you were to specialize in 1920s garments, we all know that's a completely different price point, a completely different
Right.
person.
Like someone who's like a 1920s garment seller, they need to be like, there's a famous auction house here called Leslie Hindman Auctions. Like they need to be in contact
Need to
or
go.
at the level of Leslie Hindman Auctions, finding where those people are shopping. Like for
Yeah.
instance, I did a market in Wicker Park. Okay, those people in Wicker Park, they do have money, but they're thrifty. And like after I did that one where people were like, this is too expensive, this is too expensive, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm probably not going to be successful in this area, but the area that I do the market in now is called West Loop, and it's like it's expensive to live there. Like it
Yeah.
ain't cheap to live in the West Loop because it's full of
Yeah.
like business people and that kind of stuff. So like definitely when you're selling in person, location is really important. You're not going to get someone who's
Mm-hmm.
going to pay $180 for a blazer, next to the train tracks, way out in the boonies or anything like that. So that's
Right.
where selling online can really be a way for you to enhance your collection because you can, or enhance your client because those people are all over the world.
Yep, yep. And especially if you're consistent with it, if your online shop is consistent in its prices, you can't be like $10, $20, $30, $180. It just won't work. It won't
Yeah.
portray that to the person. Anyway, there's so many minute details we could get into, but I love this conversation. I know Lydia is probably going to be available, for you guys to DM later.
Oh yeah, DM me.
She's on Instagram. She's rocking it. I talk to her every day. It's awesome. But I want to hear, Lydia, speaking of talking to you every day, tell us a little bit more about your day to day. Like, how do you prioritize your day so that you're efficient and successful?
So number one, my first priority is always shipping or customer questions or how am I like anything that has to do with a
Mm-hmm.
client like directly needing my attention. That is my number one priority every day. So if it's someone that's like, hey, what's the size on this? Hey, like, can you tell me if this is any damage or how much is this or that kind of thing? Like DMs on Instagram, emails, messages on Facebook. Those are always my first thing, then shipping, or I should say shipping before. I need to ship the stuff out and get it to those people that have already paid. So shipping,
Mm-hmm.
then answering questions from people. Then I would say I wrote it down just that way I can make sure. Actually, make sure I got it all right. Oh, then would be clothing. So when I'm in
I
buying
love
season,
this.
then
Yeah.
would be buying. So I would be like going to the thrift store, but since I'm not in buying season and I have way too much stuff, I am now in clothing care next. So like spot cleaning and mending and that kind of thing. Since I did go to school for costume design, I have like an in-depth knowledge of mending and alterations and that kind of stuff and like fit. How can I change something to be a more modern fit? So then it's that, then it's tagging, and then a little part of my day is devoted to cleaning and organizing because that's important. I live in a
Mm-hmm.
tiny area, and then also doing a little bit of research on where am I going to be next. So what markets are coming up? What can I apply to? Like, do I need to? Am I getting to the point where I need to start thinking about exactly what inventory I'm going to be bringing to a market? Do I need to be like rechecking through to make sure everything's tagged? That kind of thing.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So you're like pretty consistent every day with what you're working on. You're not like Tuesday's different, Wednesday's different, Thursday's different. Like you have a
I
daily
have like this
routine.
list of priorities, basically a checklist that I go through. So it's like, do I need
Yeah.
to ship anything today? No. Okay. Do I have any questions? No. Okay. Now do I need to focus on looking at clothes. Oh, also Instagram, like being posting on Instagram, which
Yeah.
I learned from you, Sammy. I'm like, girl, I gotta be on my stories every day as much as possible.
Every
I
day,
think,
stories. Every
yeah,
day.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's really nice. I even sometimes though I don't like feel like I have anything important to say, but I just like throw a little something up there about my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to be in
Mm-hmm.
my stories, telling people what's up, showing people my new stuff, and I try to post on Instagram, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not an everyday poster kind of girl. So
Mm-hmm.
you were like, I post 2 times minimum on my feed. I was like, girl, she crazy. I don't know how you do that.
Dasha's so funny. She's like, you're glowing. Yeah, I'm so dark, Dasha, right now. This
Mhm.
is so funny. I'm like, yeah, I mean, Instagram's, it's a whole other conversation. But definitely, I'm going to coach you to post twice a day. And I think that a lot will change for you
Okay,
because,
it has though. Since I started posting more, I definitely just have, I think I have more organic reach, like more people that somehow just
yeah,
find me.
they
I
find
don't
you. Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and less
Yeah.
just like engagement from people that already follow me.
Yeah. 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 It really I mean, it's depressing because you're like, I have to set up a shot today. But like, if you can do
Uh-huh.
like, 3 on Tuesday and then stretch them out. Like I'm starting to do 4 IGTV videos shot in one day
Uh-huh. That's
just so that
crazy,
I
girl.
have them. Yeah, so I'm filming 4 more on Friday just so that I have them for the, yeah. So
Doing
anyway,
time for money.
I know, right? So, okay. I do want to talk to you really briefly before the final question. Being, in this industry and being young and being like on your own, like presumably you have insecurities. Can you talk us through like some of the things that cross your mind, like how you've worked? I love that you're like, you're glowing too right
I
now.
know, I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah, like there's something happening right now.
There.
There
I
you
think
go.
it's my cup. My Starbucks cup throws it off because it's got like this weird holographic light.
Oh, so it like it made the brightness different. Okay,
I'm
so
not gonna test it. I thought about it, but I'm not gonna test it.
so walk us through some of like how you've worked through those insecurities.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
you've already been so honest in this conversation. So
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely some of my insecurities have circled around to like, who am I to be like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just like stressed for $70. And like, especially with
Yeah.
other people, there are some people in Chicago that have the same taste that I do, that sell things for three or like my price cut down by three or like my price cut down by four. Like these people are
Mm,
selling them dirt cheap. So you would think, um, like why would anyone buy from me when they could buy from them? And that was like I sometimes still have to deal with like that feeling of like, who am I to ask for this? Like my competition is selling what I'm selling at such a lower price, especially with vintage. But you know what I tell myself? I wrote this down right on here. I was like, I am me. I give a shopping experience that no one else can give because I am me.
hmm.
No one else can be me. No one
Hmm.
else can do exactly what I do because they can't be me. And um I just like sometimes I think you have to say to yourself, like, I'm gonna make the best of this situation. So like
Mm.
don't tell anyone, but I source from them. I mean, they know. They know.
Yeah.
I source from them. I like turned
Yeah.
that the thing that's like, wow, they're my competition. I was like, well, if they're selling it so cheap, why can't
Yeah.
I just have things that I think are like super
Yes.
awesome?
You're helping them.
Sell more. Because like yeah, just like to put this out there, this is also something I had to work through was like people buying your stuff to resell. It's like
Yeah.
a weird feeling sometimes. You're like, oh, I don't really like that. That they're like buying it for me for 15 and then reselling it for 100 or whatever. But I
But
just had to like remind myself and remind everyone else that you should never sell something for a price where you lose money or you're uncomfortable with someone paying that price. So like if you're like, ooh, that's just really too close to my profit margins, don't sell it. And that once you sell something, you have no control over what happens to it. Like
yeah.
you have to let that go and let it be free and know that like it will go to the right person eventually. And maybe that right person wants to pay $1,200 for it. I mean, we don't know. And it's so amazing for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a flow. It's all just it's a
Yeah.
flow. It's a food chain, and you have to be like, I might not be at the top of the food chain, so like someone's gonna buy what I have and sell it to someone else to eat, and that's it. because it's a food chain. And
This happened to me at the
yeah,
market. I was wearing this really cute little outfit that I bought from someone at the market on
yeah.
Sunday, and this lady, my booth neighbor, was like, "Oh my gosh, that used to be mine." She was like, "I had a garage sale and I sold that to the person you bought it from."
Oh my God, I love
And
life.
I was like,
That's so
she was like,
funny.
"I won't even tell you how much she paid for it." And I was like, "Oh, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm happy because you got paid, she got paid, I'm wearing it.
I already got paid.
Yeah, I'm wearing it. I'm looking cute in it. And who knows? I mean, with vintage, it's all secondhand. So, like, maybe one day I'll decide that I'm ready to let go of it and I'll get paid."
Yep. Amen. That is so cool. I love this so much. I think really like before our final question, what you offer, Lydia, is confidence and giving everyone here who listens to you permission to be confident about what you feel you do best, which we can't tell you that. I mean, yes, we can have feedback sessions, which I think are very important and allow us to just sort of step away from ourselves and see ourselves in that, that bird's eye perspective. But like when you know what you do well, like charge for it. Like charge
Yeah.
for that. I almost said shit. Charge for that stuff. Charge for that ish. Charge for
True.
it
I mean,
because. But if you're not good at something, then don't. Or again, if the clientele that you're finding, because you do have to find them, isn't going to pay that much, then like adjust. But it's the
yeah. And
mindset.
sometimes your clientele is the kind of person that wants to pay $15 for something, and you're like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna sell 100 things at $15."
Yeah,
Instead of like, I'm gonna sell what
yeah,
if 100 things at $50 is $1,500, instead of saying I'm gonna sell 3 things at 500. I mean,
exactly.
it all I feel like it eventually all evens out, right? It's just how your business model works. Someone is
Mhm.
gonna be more likely to buy your thing if it's less money than more money.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that doesn't necessarily mean that someone that you're hitting the right person. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at
Yeah.
here?
Well,
You just gotta
it's
price how you think your ideal client would like to shop.
exactly, exactly, and in a way that you feel you can be confident about. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you,
No, you're
it's your
right.
client, and it's where you're at to find the client, essentially. So it's
It's
you,
your
client,
level of expertise,
where you
I
are.
think, that you bring to it.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's all. That's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
final question, just because we've been talking for an hour and 5 minutes, which I love.
Hey.
But obviously the sun has set, which is amazing out here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I'm actually going to buy from a reseller tomorrow, and she knows that I'm reselling. So I'll talk to you guys more about that tomorrow. But I want you, Lydia, to tell us what is in the future of Confetti Co. and what would you like to be in the future of Confetti Co. Even if you're sort of like, well, it's not here or there in a year, but this is what I want.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely think the future for me, I want like in within the next year, part of my goal is to do a more long-term pop-up. So I'd love to do
Mm-hmm.
like 2 week, 3 week up pop-up within a brick and mortar store just to kind of like test out how do I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love selling in person, as we know. There are definitely some drawbacks to having your own brick and mortar, but I would like to just test the waters with that. Maybe I do like a pop-up circuit. That would be awesome. If I could
Nice.
do like 6 pop-ups over the winter and then like do the markets all summer, something like that. And okay, this is like my real dream future would be that I would have someone else, like a manager, whose entire job was running my online shop. So their whole job would be like photographing,
Wow.
listing, everything, like doing all that. And I would just be able to look at it and be like, looks great, check. And then I
Love.
could still be able to reach the people online because sometimes I feel bad that only the people who live in Chicago truly get to shop like, my
Yep.
stuff. And so I'm like, that's kind of why I did the live sale thing. I was like, then I can reach other people. But I would have like an e-commerce manager, CEO of e-commerce.
Love
Yeah.
e-commerce. It's such a
And that I
like.
could be like all the like in-person person, I would love that.
Hmm. Hmm. I think that's so great. That's so awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. Are there any questions I missed?
I'm ready. Give me the hard hitting ones.
Dasha
Dasha,
was like, she was like, okay, hold on, wait, no, I have this. Okay. Do you feel pressure to constantly? Okay. Do you feel pressure to constantly have new arrivals, Lydia?
no, because I think most people that shop my store either are my clients, and so they've seen it all and they know exactly what they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So like I when I say like they're my client, what I mean is like they've shopped with me before and all that kind of stuff. So when I do get new arrivals, they are definitely interested. But I have people that like I have this one girl that comes every single month and always buys something, even though what she's seen, I know she's seen before. So like just because they're in the
Um,
position to buy only one thing the first time you see them doesn't mean that they're not going to be like, I'm coming back for that next month if I get paid again. You know what I mean? Or it's like it's my
yeah,
birthday next month. And also, I don't really feel the pressure to have new arrivals because all vintage is like so unique
yeah.
that there's always a new person that is like, I've never seen that before. It's not like J. Crew or something where you're like working off of trends, even though it's a little bit of a part of it. You're not like working off of trends or selling exclusively seasonal merchandise. So,
Hmm.
no, but I enjoy having new arrivals because you
Hmm.
know I love
Hmm.
to shop
Hmm.
and thrift. So when I get those arrivals, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Like
It's,
I've been getting so many coats in the mail. My coat game is gonna be so good this winter.
oh my gosh. And you've been getting those coats, online. So you've been ordering from other sellers.
Yep.
I love this. So,
Or or thrifting them. But all my thrift stores here, this didn't ever happen in Flint, but the thrift stores here clear out the coats.
yeah.
So there's no coats.
Yeah, I know. It's the same in New York. It's like Halloween they come out. Like not
Yeah,
even
I
sooner.
know.
Okay, Dasha has the final question. I love
All
Dasha.
right,
Okay,
Josh, give it to us.
I'm gonna like take all of these questions for like my future interviews. Okay, what's the big this is a hard one, okay? What's the biggest risk you took in your business? Lydia.
Mm, okay, I could name like three really big risks.
Cool.
Honest, I would say like emotionally, the biggest risk that I've ever taken was my very first market, which was like pretty expensive to do. It was, I
Mm-hmm.
think, over $300 to participate in. That was like a huge risk for me. I didn't know if it was going to work out, if it was going to be good, that kind of stuff. So that was the biggest emotional risk for sure. I was like really like
Yeah.
broken up about that. And then I definitely like took a risk on myself with taking B school this year because it's like really, really expensive, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just paid for it and I was like, and now I like have learned so much from it and I think that my business is so much better. So I definitely think that like education is always worth the monetary risk. And
Absolutely.
the third one was like I ordered this 40-pound mystery box that was just like full of clothes that I didn't really get to see. I only got like five blurry photos of clothing piles that I just did
Wow.
the IGTV sale from. And I was like, oh, praying. I was like, dear Lord, please let it be good. But it
Yes.
turned out good. So thank goodness. Yeah,
So
it was really expensive too. So,
all of your risks had to do with money,
oh,
and
yeah.
the
Hmm.
return was worth it. And that's just such the conversation, but it's like you have to ease into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
$300 was like probably really hard for you, and now you're like, oh, $300, like, I know that this will be good.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, that's the market I do every month. It's like 300, sometimes more, but I don't, I know now it's no longer a risk.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's great. Oh my gosh, Lydia, this has been so excellent. Guys, I will be getting some notes together from this interview just so you can have some like bullet points. Lydia is amazing. So please follow her if you're not already following her on
I feel like I
Instagram.
need a piece of paper that says
Um,
like at Confetti Co Vintage.
at Confetti Co Vintage with the co, which I love. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you
Great,
so much,
thank you
Lydia.
so
This
much.
was so fun, and
I agree.
we will have to do it again. And I have to come out to Chicago. So
If you're here, you better tell me. Me and Taylor will hang out with you together.
oh gosh, Taylor, I love Taylor. Well, I already met Taylor in person. No, really quickly, Deborah said, "Confidence can't be faked. You are amazing. Love you, Lydia."
Thanks,
From
Deborah. You're
Deborah.
so sweet.
Yeah, that was so sweet, Deborah. Yeah, I think there's so many takeaways here, guys. I'm gonna go inside and eat, but I will post the ideal client avatar, and I think that needs to be a homework assignment for everyone to do.
Mhm.
So, love it. All right, Lydia.
Thank
Ciao
you
for
so
now.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being a thrift boss, babe. See you later.